What up, homies of the interwebs? This is lugnuts.guapo coming at you from Longhorn Harley-Davidson, and today we are comparing a RoadKing, like a standard, if that's what you want to consider, just an OG RoadKing and the new Softail Heritage. And by new, I mean this is the second year of its production in this platform, and we're comparing apples to apples. Get that? Red? I'm such an idiot. Anyways, we're comparing 107 to 107 in these two different platforms. I actually did not look up how much the price difference is before this video, so I'm going to look it up before we get going. But yeah, this is because of a comment that was left by Arlene. She commented below. He you know, whatever. Thank you so much for commenting, and I really appreciate it, and this is why we're doing this comparison. So, without further ado, roll the tape. Pow! There we go. That's my little intro video. Arlene Wolf. Now I can't get that name out of my head. I was having a hard time remembering it earlier, but Arlene Wolf is the person who commented and wanted to see a comparison of these two. And if you think I picked the Heritage because I think it's a winner, well, you'd be wrong, because that's not why I chose it. That doesn't mean that this is not the best one. So, let's start right out of the gate. Price-wise, I started researching right before I jumped on this. It is about like $200 difference. Seriously, like 19 and some change, and 19,200 and something for the RoadKing standard. I mean, $200 difference. I mean, and they're completely different platforms, and yet they look so similar. They both have windshields, have that old school classic look. They both have some chrome here and there. These two are actually the exact same paint job, and they both are comfortable to ride, have saddlebags. Of course, granted, a little different in design, but they're pretty similar. They have passing lamps and all that kind of jazz. So what are you paying for in difference? Like, what's a $200 difference? I mean, they both have cruise control. They both have what's it called? Security is standard on both models. Now, the frame is obviously different, so let's talk about that real quick. So the touring frame has been around for a while, and it got redesigned back in '09, and as far as I know, it hasn't been really redesigned since. And I forgot where I was going. Anyways, it has not been redesigned since that I know of, and it's been a great platform to ride long distances. The new Softail frame is great for a multitude of things. Not only is the frame more rigid compared to the old Softail, and definitely compared to the dyno frame, and it's just having a stiffer chassis just makes it better for, you know, being aggressive around curves and all that jazz. And you would think that because when you travel a lot, if you went to the you know the Ozarks, or the Twisted Sisters, or do any of those kinds of rides, you would think that this would be the better option, right? Well, not so fast. Why? Because there's another component to the frame that you're not thinking about, and we will talk about that here shortly, and that would be the forks, and I'll get to that shortly, as I said. And the other thing that I would say the RoadKing has over this is tank size. 5-gallon tank on this good old Heritage, and It's 6 gallons on the RoadKing. Sorry, I saw a little radar and I was definitely speeding on that one. My bad. Whoops. Got a little distracted there. So yeah, 1 gallon difference. Well, where else is the difference? Well, clearance, it's about the same with, you know, weight on it, laden, as I call it, laden seat height, and unladen, meaning just sitting still, it's about an inch difference. So that could mean a lot or it could mean nothing. It just depends on your height. I'm about 6 foot, so it doesn't really affect me one bit. Now you also have to take into consideration that, like, if you were on a V-Rod, that is a very low sitting bike, but the seating position and how wide that seat is, because you have a gas tank underneath you, it makes it a little more difficult to, you know, stand on keep that bike up, like putting your feet on the ground. So there's people that are short and on a bike like this, you know, they could be tippy-toeing, and on a V-Rod that's lower, they're still tippy-toeing. So that take that into consideration. Obviously with the RoadKing and this, that's not quite the case. I will say the RoadKing does feel a little wider. So what else are we have to take into consideration when comparing these two? Well, we said again, clearance is about 1 inch. If you're short, that might be a huge difference. If you're about my height, it really doesn't matter. Now, clearance when you're going around turns, it's about 3 to 4 inches. I mean, 3 to 4 degrees. My bad. So on a Heritage, you're limited right at 27 to 28, depending on which side you're turning on. 27, 28 degrees versus 31 and 32 on a RoadKing. So honestly, going around corners, definitely have a lot more clearance on a RoadKing, which I'll give that ding to the RoadKing. And when it comes to the platform, obviously we're talking about the 107, same motor, no difference there. Where there is a huge difference is weight. So this bike is almost exactly 100 pounds lighter than the RoadKing. Is that a huge difference? Absolutely, it is a huge difference, because even though they have the same motor, that power to weight ratio is substantially different, let's just say. So this 107 on this bike feels a lot peppier and a lot stronger than it would on a RoadKing. It just does. That's what power to weight ratio does. It's just how it is. Now the other thing to consider as well is the saddlebags that you have on a Heritage versus that you have on a RoadKing. On a RoadKing, there's definitely a lot more space. You got that one touch bags, which is a preferred of mine, versus although I will say these are also one touch bags on the new Heritage, but they're not the same one touch bags. The mechanism is a little different, and I just prefer it on the new RoadKing, and there is more space, in my opinion, in the, I don't know the exact dimensions, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot more space on the saddlebags of a RoadKing. Now, they both come with windshields, as opposed to, like, if you were doing, you know, comparing a Heritage Special and a RoadKing Special. RoadKing Special doesn't have a windshield, but, and in this case, comparing apples to apples, I mean, that's almost the exact same bike. Now, one of the things that I will talk about here, as I was talking about earlier, is forks. And I think this is what makes or breaks both motorcycles. So this bike has what would be considered leading forks, meaning that the forks are sitting right in front of the neck of the bike, meaning that there is what some technicians would call flop. So if you put this on a lift and push the tire one way or another, it's just going to fall over, right? So the weight of the tire and, you know, the front end is going to move it one side to the other. And if you did that on a, say, a RoadKing or any touring bike for that matter, it's what those have, what is called trailing forks. Well, what does that look like? Well, it's the complete opposite. You have the forks behind the neck, and it's what we would consider self-centering. Why is that? Because if you put a RoadKing on the left, or any touring bike on the left, you push the tire, it's gonna center itself back up, and that is why RoadKings handle better than the new Softails. It's because of the forks. I mean, it's just as simple as that. So even though on the RoadKing you're not getting the, you know, LED lamps and all this other stuff, it just can't, the RoadKing is going to be a lot better if you're going on longer distances. Whoops, excuse me. And oh, tírame paro, loco. Yep. Anyways, as I was saying, as we go up on the elevator, you get all those extra things. If you're going short trips, you know, this is great. Long trips, RoadKing, hands down. That's just how it is. So, if you had to ask me, RoadKing is a better option, especially if you're going longer trips. But the Heritage is also a fantastic option. So, take it as it is. That is my opinion, and I hope you all ride safe out there. In the meantime, get on your Harley and get some wind therapy. Later.